Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of the Nest Podcast. This is episode 48, the Tory Hunter episode. I'm your host, Brandon, and joining me as always is my co-host, Zach. Zach, what's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's Friday. We actually hit a Friday episode of our show. What the hell? Finally. We tried to make it to where we record on Fridays so that we can cover the entire week's worth of sports recap and then drop it first thing Saturday morning. Here lately, we've had to record on Thursdays, on different days of the week. Zach wasn't here last week, so we had to pick up the baseball part earlier this week, and then it's just been a shuffle. We've made it happen, and it's finally a Friday, and we're finally able to sit down and record.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we made our initial plans with Sportszilla, we were like, yeah, we'll be Friday at 7. That's our go-to time. And we've only hit that time like 3 times since we've been with Sportszilla.
Yep.
It's been like 3 months now that we've been working with them.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're going to stay consistent and not miss, you're going to have to shift around, especially with everyone's different schedules and lives.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we all have so much going on in
Yep.
our other lives, in our personal lives or whatever, that we can't always commit to 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Speaking of, I need to get with you offline about that. We're going to start doing the every Friday night at the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. They do fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the fireworks for 4th of July, and Grayson absolutely loved it. So we're probably going to start trying to go back more often on Fridays. So we may have to move our date again. But
That'll work.
that's, something for later on to figure out.
Yeah.
Anyway, last week we had Justin on here, and we ran down our list of the top 5 quarterbacks leading up to the fantasy football draft, and we missed out on yours. So if you just want to give us a quick recap of your top 5 and a brief blurb as to why you put them where you put them.
Yeah, sure. I did listen to the episode that you guys did, and I'm kind of pissed that I didn't get to chime in at the time, because I think it would have been a really good conversation with everybody. I'm going to spin a few heads here. I've got number 5 as Patrick Mahomes, and that's because I think he's about to hit his sophomore slump. And I'll give you a couple reasons. He doesn't have the weapons he had. No Kareem Hunt, no Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill's still technically there. He hasn't been suspended. He hasn't been cut. So,
okay.
As far as we know, he's still there, but he should serve some sort of suspension
4
time.
game,
Maybe something like that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, that's number 5.
But to your point, that's the same exact reason that Justin didn't rank Baker as high as I did, was because he was worried about a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
And
who knows?
It could impact Mahomes, even though technically this is his 3rd year.
Right. But I guess
last year was his first year really playing. So, and a lot of people thought that he was a rookie all season last year.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it's hard to say. It's all just a guessing game, but especially without Kareem Hunt, damn near all of the pressure is on him, and he might do well. I mean, he got 50 touchdowns last year, so I could be wrong, but I don't know. It's going to be hard to duplicate that kind of a season.
Yeah, you're right.
Moving on, number 4, Aaron Rodgers, your biggest fan. He's consistent. I mean, what can you say? If he's not hurt, if people catch his passes, he can throw. So he's not a bad pick.
I mean, listeners will know that I put him at my number 6 last week. So it's not like I had him, down 14th or 15th, down below people that would just be absurd to rank higher than him.
Yep. Number 3, I've got Watson. I think basically both of you.
I think we all had him right around there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys covered that one. He's agile. He's good. He should have a good season.
He's the best of the dual threat quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say he's better than Cam Newton too.
Cam's just a lot bigger.
Yeah. Cam is
more
tank.
Physical. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Yep. Number 2, I've got Baker Mayfield, and that's because I think he has all the weapons that he needs. OBJ, they've got whoever else you guys mentioned, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, Nick Chubb will be their running back. Kareem Hunt will be the running back
that's
after
amazing
week
for
8.
them. Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a lot of weapons. You mentioned Odell Beckham Jr. That's the biggest weapon.
Oh yeah.
Landry, I think they also have.
Jarvis Landry. Yep.
So
I
they're pretty stacked.
As long as he doesn't get the sophomore slump, he should do flawlessly.
Yeah. I agree.
I think he doesn't have the stiff competition that or at least the Browns have had at one point in Steelers defenses and stuff like that, where they would just get destroyed. Now I think the field's kind of open for them.
The only defense in that division that's still remotely stout is the Ravens.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. To your credit, that division has taken a huge.
It's almost wide open.
Yeah, it's the Browns' division to win for sure.
Yeah, and then my number one is Drew Brees. I mean, for years now, he's just been solid gold. Alvin Kamara can take a lot of pressure off of him, and he can also catch in the backfield. So he's got weapons. He's old, but so is Tom Brady, and it's just one of those things where if they can stay protected and they can stay healthy, I don't see any reason why he doesn't have a stellar season like he typically does.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your list for the most part. I had Drew Brees at number 2, and I had Mahomes at number 1.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I didn't agree with.
Yeah, the only big difference was that you had Mahomes at 5. But other than that, our lists are pretty similar.
Yeah, and I kind of figured they would be. It's hard to go outside of the norms for quarterbacks because usually, unless some new kid comes in, usually the quarterbacks stay good quarterbacks.
Right. That's a good segue then, because the running backs is something that always seems to change. If you would have asked people last year, Le'Veon Bell would have been the number 1 pick.
100%.
And it was in our draft, as Justin explained, even though he was on auto pick and kind of shot himself in the foot.
Yep.
But better luck next year or this year, Justin. Le'Veon Bell doesn't crack the top 5 this year, though.
No.
Especially not since he shifted over to the Jets and is running behind that line now. So that makes way for a brand new list of number 5 running backs, or top 5 running backs, I should say. And for me, I took somebody who led his team for the most part, for the better part of the season last year, to the Super Bowl, and I put Todd Gurley as my number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm still a little concerned with the seriousness of that knee injury. You know,
that's fair.
Todd Gurley was the man in LA, but he barely touched the ball in the playoffs.
Right.
So it's like, you're going to let this guy's good enough to get you there, but he's not good enough to play. No, he was hurt.
Right.
No matter how they try to spin it, he was too hurt to really go out there and be the difference maker. And if he wasn't able to fully recover and fully get back to himself, he's not going to be the number 1, the man anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
I think he might have a short career here because I believe he was even hurt in college.
It happens. It happens to running backs. And yeah, you're right. He did get injured when he was at Georgia.
Yeah, it's a tough position. I mean, Reggie Bush was supposed to be this crazy phenom, and he basically petered out. Mark Ingram, same thing. He was a huge phenom at Alabama. Where is he now? You know, it's just it's a fucking hard position because you get just destroyed every time you get the ball, basically.
Yeah, it really makes you sit back and marvel at guys like an Emmitt Smith or a Walter Payton or a Barry Sanders that did the job for so long, and they did it, you know, best in class when they were doing it.
Yeah.
So who'd you put for your number 5?
Number 5, I've got James Conner of
Okay.
the Steelers.
So stepping into Le'Veon Bell's old position, and he did fine last year in that role.
Yeah, he did very well, all things considered. And I think now more than ever, Ben Roethlisberger needs all the help he can get. Antonio Brown is gone. So
I don't rank Connor that high for me just because I don't think the Steelers are going to be that competitive, which means they're going to be down by a lot of points in games, and that means they're going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
That fucks you for your fantasy running backs.
Yep.
So for that reason, I don't put Connor in my top 5.
Gotcha.
Moving on though, number 4, who you got?
I've got Todd Gurley.
Okay, so you ranked him pretty low as well.
Yeah.
Was it concerns of the knee, or did you have other?
Yeah, I mean, if he was healthy, he'd be my number 1 for sure. But ever since his debut in the NFL, I think we've both talked about he's got glass knees. Like he's a hit away from any kind of serious injury. So he's great, but it's so risky to have him on your squad, and if he's like your number 1 pick or something, then I mean it's a risk because he can go out and at basically any time.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I ranked him at 5. But my number 4 I put as Zeke Elliott for the Cowboys. Keep feeding him the ball, Dallas. That's what you need to do because this guy, he eats up yardage. I think last season he averaged like 4.5 yards a carry. That's ridiculous. And pair that with Dak and Amari Cooper getting on the same page. They're going to be able to light up the show downfield, open up the run game a little bit more for Zeke.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me and why I don't have him up higher is because of all the news of this Las Vegas incident and the off-field distractions that Zeke always has.
Yeah. He got in a fight in a bar or something.
Yeah, ended up knocking over a bouncer or whatever. I think all charges have been dropped, and he had a meeting with Goodell, and it didn't seem to be anything that he came out expecting repercussions. But it just always seems like he has some off-the-field bullshit that he's dealing with, and eventually it's going to lead to distractions.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 3, I kind of took a shot on this guy. Last year, he had a great season. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't have another season to kind of follow that up, and that's Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
For the Panthers. That dude, he nearly turned the Panthers season into a winner last year.
Oh, wow.
Just because he was able to eat up yardage, get first downs, keep the chains moving, and he was a safety blanket for Cam Newton, basically. Right. Anytime they got in trouble, they turned to McCaffrey. He would catch the ball out of the backfield, and he was constantly putting up big numbers in fantasy.
Gotcha. Well, I'll have to keep him in my sights because he's not even on my radar.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one that you want to consider.
Nice.
Our league champ had Christian McCaffrey on his squad.
That'll tell you something. For me, number 3 is Alvin Kamara. Okay. He did great last year. The only thing that I am skeptical of is if my number 1 quarterback does as well as he does, that takes away points from his potential. But if they can somehow share, take the pressure off of each other, he should do well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, that was your number 3.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go on into my number 2 because I'm not going to talk about Kamara yet. My number 2 is Barkley. Saquon Barkley from the Giants.
I've got the same.
Outstanding rookie season. He carried the load for New York, and he's going to have to do it again this year because they don't have shit else.
100%.
The bad thing about that is if you've got a workhorse and that's all you've got, the chance for injury goes up. The chance that the defenses are able to just nullify that because they know that that's your only weapon. So they're going to zero in on him.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot for Eli Manning and or Daniel Jones, if he ever gets in there, to find targets that are open when they're open and save a little bit of Barkley.
Yeah. I hope Barkley is able to evade the blitz because it's going to be coming every fucking play.
He's going to get hurt this year. And if he doesn't, then he's definitely the running back you want to bank on for years to come because he's a stud.
Yeah. If he survives this, then he's gold.
If he's got any touch of the Leonard Fournette or the Todd Gurley softness in them, then this is going to be the season that it's going to come out.
Yep. But we both agreed on number 2.
Yeah. That goes into my number 1 then, since I said I wasn't going to talk about him that soon. Kamara is my number 1.
Gotcha.
He's sneaky good. He's fast, elusive, and he's got hands for days. He can catch those fade routes down the sidelines that Drew Brees likes to throw. He can catch those little screen passes and then break them for 20, 30 yards. He gets used a lot in that role to catch out of the backfield. New Orleans runs a kind of funky offense in that regard, where they'll even line up running backs as wide receivers. And Kamara is one of those that they like to use in the slot.
Right.
So he's going to catch a lot of balls, and then plus he's going to be the primary featured back.
Yeah, that's a good point about Kamara, is that even though Drew Brees is a star quarterback, Kamara can catch his passes, so it can work both ways right there.
And they have great chemistry.
Yeah.
They know, like, Drew Brees knows where Kamara is going to be pretty much at all time.
Yeah. Hopefully he stays healthy this season. I expect him to have a very good career.
I do too, and plus he's a Tennessee guy, so that makes it all the better.
Yeah. Well, we're down to number 1 here.
Yeah, that was my number 1.
I've got Zeke. I just think he's a huge talent. For him to be so young, and what he did for his rookie year was crazy. The only thing that is giving me pause for concern is, like we said, the off-field stuff. But Dak, is not what everyone thought he was, and I think the pressure is still on Zeke to perform. And if he can do it, man, he's going to have a stellar season, because, like you said, the pressure can be off of Elliott and go to Cooper and try to get Dak and all that stuff. And then that opens up the running game. So, it could be a bust, but he's got all the talent in the world. He just needs to be able to use it. So we'll see how he does.
Yeah, no. And, that's a good point about Dak not being what everyone thought that he was his rookie year, because that means that the Cowboys are going to rely on Zeke a lot more to keep them in games and to eat up that yardage and hopefully average that 4.5 yards a season or a carry again this year, because that's huge. And Dak's trying to get paid like he's been doing it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy to think, the huge storm that Dak created for his rookie season. And then, he's been fine, but it's not all him. And anyone who has paid attention knows that without a running back like Zeke Elliott, there would be no story in Dallas.
No, I agree. The Nest Podcast is brought to you by Wolfpack Raz and Brakes. Wolfpack is our go-to spot for the best online auctions for hand signs, helmets, and authentic sports memorabilia. Wolfpack is a proud American company, and it's veteran-owned and operated. It only takes one entry for your chance to win great prizes. But wait, our listeners can receive an instant $5 credit by using a promo code NEST5. Are you ready to run with the pack?
Oh!
Zach, did you see the sip of tea heard around the world?
I did. Alex Morgan, boy, did she make some headlines.
Wow. All World Cup long, we've been hearing about Megan Rapinoe and all of the antics and all of the things that she's been doing. And then Alex Morgan steals the show by sipping tea against the English.
Oh, man. I mean, for all things considered, that was a perfect time to do that.
No, it was.
Like right before the 4th of July, you kick England's ass, and then you go on to the World Cup finals. Like, fuck yeah.
And have you been keeping up with their opponents in the World Cup finals, Netherlands?
Not at all.
I mean, they're obviously a good team. I don't want to discredit them, but I just think the Americans are on a whole different planet when it comes to this stuff. Like they're out for blood. They're the defending World Cup champs, and they're ready to reclaim that title for another cycle.
Yeah. The women's team has something special for these past couple of years. Man, they've been dominant.
Yeah, for sure. Megan Rapinoe has been one of the more dominant players of this entire World Cup. She scored 4 straight goals that covered 2 games, I believe it was.
That's insane.
Like that's almost unheard of. I don't know the last time it had ever been done or if it had ever been done, but I know that she celebrated like a straight G in front of the French.
Did she? I don't remember
that. She scored a goal quickly against France, and of course France is the home country for the World Cup.
Yep.
So she scored a goal quickly, and then she went over to the sideline and just did like the Randy Orton arms wide out pose. I'm sure you've seen the memes. They're all over the place. So she did that one, and she just posed like that in front of all the French fans, all the French media. It's like, yeah, that's the shit right there.
That's funny. And just as a clerical thing here, I believe it's pronounced Rapinoe.
Rapinoe, yeah. I realized that
you
after
and your
I said
names.
it. I was like, yeah, I suck at pronouncing these names. Yeah.
All good.
I can remember what these people do. I just can't remember their names to save my life.
Yeah, but that's exciting. Do we know off the top of our heads when the final game is?
Sunday.
Okay, cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's U.S. and Netherlands Sunday, and U.S. is going for their 4th overall World Cup.
Crazy.
What happened to the men's World Cup team? You know, why can the women go out and kick ass, but the men can't?
Yeah, that is funny. We couldn't even qualify to go to the World Cup.
Right. The men's team is so pathetic, but the women's team is like, yeah, dude, we win championships and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we get rings and things.
It's crazy. I wonder if that has something to do with like the reason the US's women's team is so dominant. I wonder if that has anything to do with like the social state of the US versus a lot of other countries. Whereas, you know, women here have a big, I don't know what to call it. Feminism is very popular, I guess, is how to say it here. But in a lot of other countries, that doesn't really fly, you know?
So you think maybe like the women's empowerment movement has kind of bolstered the success of women's sports in the US as opposed to other places in the world?
Yeah. Like, so for any kind of Asian country, I would imagine that a woman trying to be a professional athlete is like the last thing anyone ever considers.
Okay.
You know, I would assume
I can see that in the general sense of it. Of course, you're always going to have your onesies and twosies, because I'm sitting here thinking like, well, I can name a few professional athletes that are Asian women and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. For the most part, I could see that being true.
And like in the US, if you hear someone say, "Oh yeah, my daughter's playing college, whatever sport," you're like, "Oh, that's awesome." You know, no one thinks like, "Man, she should be trying to find a husband or something." And I think smaller countries and, you know, countries in other places have probably a more traditional idea of a woman's place in the world, whereas in the US we're pretty open to women doing whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I get what you're saying now. Like the cultural differences between countries would lead to that. I mean, I guess that's probably true. But good thing we live in the United States and our women kick ass.
Yeah, no shit. I'll take it.
I like winning championships, even if it's not anything that I follow closely, like women's soccer. I don't follow that religiously or anything, but when there's a chance that we get to gloat that we're the best in the world, fuck it, sign me up. I'm all in.
Yep. Same thing as this last Winter Olympics. The U.S. won curling. I've never given a shit about curling. I don't even know what it is, but fucking we won.
Curling is so awesome. I worked with 10th Marine Civil Affairs for several years whenever it was first being stood up as a new job in the Marine Corps. I was one of the, I guess, the founding fathers, if you will, of that. Because we were the original like 13 people that
started the unit.
They got that MOS. They got that secondary MOS. Like there were only a handful of us that had it in the entire Marine Corps at one point.
Sure.
And with that being said, when we were stateside, there wasn't really shit for us to do. So we sat around and bullshitted in the office and, you know, had to sweep carpet and buff floors and do all the dumb stuff that Marines make you do. But
Right.
when we weren't doing that, we were hanging out. The summer or the winter that I was in the shop before I deployed was a Winter Olympics year. And we did nothing that entire winter except for watch curling. We got way too into it to the point that we were like arguing with one another about, oh no, that was a fucking bullshit call. You know,
That's awesome.
as bullshit of a call as you can get in curling, because all that really is one guy has the weight and he lets it go and slide down the ice, and then his teammates use their brooms to clear the path.
Right.
To try, and they can actually direct it and steer it somewhat, you know, like, oh, you sweep it to where it's a freshly shaven path that it wants to go on or whatever.
Sure.
And you try to get it down to the target on the other end of the ice and try to knock other stones out of the way that are your opponents or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting sport, pretty fun to watch. It's fun to cheer for when you honestly had no rooting interest going in.
All right.
But it's pretty cool.
Nice. And especially if there's absolutely nothing else to do, then fucking A, you're going to enjoy it.
That's it. It was just fun because we all got so invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made it fun. If there was only like 2 people that liked it, then it would have been like, dude, this sucks.
Right.
Oh, well. I know we talked about baseball on Tuesday a little bit, but the Red Sox have kind of gotten back into the groove of playing after London.
Yep. Won the series against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, took 2 out of 3. Last night's game was a fucking crazy endeavor.
It was great. I caught the last 2 innings of it. It was awesome.
And the Sox were down 6-1 at one point, came back and took the lead 7-6 on a Michael Chavis home run. Blew the save, and then ended up taking the lead 8-7.
Yeah, by a pinch hitter homer.
A pinch hit solo home run by Marco Hernandez.
Crazy.
Fun little story about Marco Hernandez. This is his 2nd home run of the season. The last home run that he hit was a game winner. He came in late into that game, hit a home run against the Orioles to win that game. He's also had a walk-off single this year. So he's pretty clutch late in the game.
That's awesome.
This is his first season playing pro ball in 2 years, I want to say, because he's been injured. He started the season at AAA Pawtucket, and they were going around and they said, hey, let's get your picture for the program and all that stuff. He said, don't even bother. I won't be here long.
That's awesome.
Now he's at the big club hitting home runs to win games.
Yeah, winning games and shit.
So
that's awesome.
That's a pretty gangster story for Marco.
Yeah, that's freaking cool. I mean, I feel like the pinch hitting scenario has got to be one of the worst because I mean, you've been sitting on the bench all game. You're just eating seeds and bullshitting, and then you're called up. Hey, go do something, and he was able to do it.
You're right. A lot of times it is like, hey, you're up. But sometimes guys know in advance, like, okay, if this scenario plays out, I'm going in to face this pitcher. So you kind of have that mental, like, okay, I'm going to face this guy. He's got a good fastball and a good slider. So I'm going to be looking for that. And then you watch videos on that guy on the iPads there in the dugout. Like, okay, this is the type of pitches he likes to throw, how he likes to pitch. Go down into the clubhouse, take a couple swings in the batting cages and stuff like that to loosen up so that whenever you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah.
And that was the case for Marco. He knew that he was going to come in and pinch hit in this game.
Okay.
He knew that he was going to be up.
That makes sense.
So he had plenty of time to prepare for the pitcher. The pitcher didn't know that he was going to be facing Marco.
Yeah.
He thought that he was going to be facing Sandy Leone.
Mm-hmm. And then they switched it on him. Pull the old switcheroo.
Yep, pull the old pinch hitter play, and it worked. So
yeah, that's cool.
And that's something weird for the Red Sox this year is Alex Cora has been pretty good at pushing his buttons for his pinch hitters. They've come up, and I think they said the stat last night, but I think pinch hitters are hitting about 400,
which
so
is stellar.
That's fucking fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really good. I'm excited that they've gotten back into a groove and that they didn't look shell shocked coming back from London. I was really worried about that, to go into Toronto, and if they got rocked in Toronto, that would have been very bad.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like they've recovered nicely and beat a formidable team.
Well, they're not really that formidable. Blue Jays have a sub 500 record. They're not really that great. Yeah. They were great a couple years ago, but that doesn't really help this situation at all.
Right.
But no, they're not that good, but that's kind of what the Red Sox needed. They needed to come in and to show everybody and show themselves, hey, we are a good team. We can win games. We just need to do it against tougher opponents.
Yeah.
They've sucked against the Yankees this year. They've sucked against the Astros. They sucked against pretty much anybody that's got a winning record.
Yeah.
Good thing we're going to Detroit next.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's some more.
That's going to be the weekend series is Detroit.
Yeah. You excited for the All-Star game at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to watch it. I like to watch the home run derby. I like to watch the home run game itself. It doesn't really mean anything anymore. It used to make home field advantage for the World Series. So it was pretty important for the long term of it all. But now it doesn't really mean anything. It's just an exhibition game. It's kind of just a fun thing to watch. But it's cool. Xander, officially an all-star.
Yep.
I'd like to think that we had something to do with that.
Yeah, somebody heard us bitching and we're like, oh, fuck. We got to right this wrong.
Yeah, we got to go, make sure that Hunter Pence is injured so that we can get Xander in there.
Yeah, they asked, hey, Hunter, you want to sit this one out?
Those guys from the Nest podcast, they're getting pretty adamant about having Xander on here.
Yep.
No, but he's there. The rest of the Red Sox that made the All-Star team is just Mookie Betts and JD Martinez.
Yeah. JD's the DH and then Mookie's a sub, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, nothing really spectacular, which to be honest, I don't even think Mookie deserves to be an all-star this year. I think there are other guys that have better numbers.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, I haven't heard anything about Mookie, so I don't know how he was doing.
He's not had the best season of his career. Ouch. By a long shot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. JD hasn't had a great season. I mean, he's worthy of an all-star nod, but he's not had a great season, not like he did last year. Mm-hmm. Last year, he had 60-something RBIs at the all-star break.
Crazy.
He was setting the world on fire.
Yeah.
This year, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to duplicate success like that. I mean,
well, sure. And they all have that big target on their back now.
Yeah.
They're World Series champs. They won 108 games last year. Nobody wants to let them run wild again this year.
Yep.
So everybody plays up. Everybody is like, okay, we're up to this competition. The Red Sox aren't up to that level of competition.
Yeah. Sucks.
But I saw your Cards won last night as well. Did they win that series?
They did. Yep.
Nice.
2-3.
Nice that.
Yep.
Hey, that's all it takes. 2 out of 3 is a great way to do it in baseball. Yeah. You don't have to sweep everybody.
Right. Yep. Now we move on to San Francisco. The game is later tonight. The only player from the Cardinals to make it to the All-Star game is shortstop Paul DeJong. He's going to be a sub, and I'm sure he'll play at least a little bit. And I agree with that. I don't think many other players have the numbers to justify an all-star game appearance. The only one that I could consider would be Colton Wong, but he just doesn't have the batting numbers like old boy does. I can't remember his name, who made it into the starting position.
I was going to say DJ LeMahieu, but he doesn't play for the Rockies anymore. He plays for the Yankees and did make the all-star team.
Yeah. I
can't think of who plays second base in the National League All-Star team. That's sad.
It's somebody that I've never heard of. I can't remember his name. Kevin something or something with a K. Anyway, while I'm blabbing, you can look it up. But yeah, like we've talked about him before. Gold Glover, Silver Slugger, Paul Goldschmidt has not had a good season, and he will not be making it anywhere. At the moment, he's batting like a 248 or so. I think the last time I looked that's just not good, especially for the level of player that he's supposed to be. Matt Carpenter, even if he wasn't injured, he wouldn't make it because he's been in a terrible slump. He pulls balls all the time, and they shift on him all the time, and he still pulls balls. You remember that video I tagged you in where he bunted into a double because the shift was so terrible on him? Well, unless he does that, he gets an out because he hasn't been getting home runs, and now he's got some back injury. So, yeah, the stars of the team aren't living up to their potential, so we won't have a big presence in the All-Star game.
That happens, and like with Carpenter, everybody always says, why don't they do that more often?
I know,
but it's a skill to be able to bunt a ball down the line.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he got it once, but how many times does he try it and it goes foul? Of course, if you bunt with 2 strikes and it goes foul, that's an out. Yep. So it's risky. Kentel Marte is the second baseman for the All-Star team. He plays for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, there you go. A guy I've literally never heard of. Must be making noise, at least enough noise in the second base position to make the All-Star team.
Yeah, this is his 3rd season in Arizona, and he's having a breakout year. Yeah.
Nice.
He's already got 107 hits and 20 homers this year.
Nice.
His previous career high in home runs was 14. He's already at his career high in RBIs. Yeah, he's having a great year.
There you go. Well,
good for him.
Keep an eye out for the kid.
Good for him, man. He deserves it.
Yep. But I'm excited for it. Funny enough, last year around the All-Star game was when I kind of started paying attention to sports. I don't know if you remember, but you and I watched the game and you told me about, oh yeah, DeGrom is this guy and this guy's doing this stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. And I just, for whatever reason at that time, started paying attention to the Cardinals and stuff. And then they went on to be the most winning team in all of August that year. And it's been awesome ever since, ups and downs.
Yeah, it's nice whenever you bait the trap and it works perfectly, because you don't know how many phone calls I had to make to get the Cardinals to win that many games in August last year. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I was calling the front offices of the Brewers. I was like, look, Brewer's my fucking last name. You got to do me a couple favors throughout the years. And I was calling everybody trying to figure it out.
Cashing in all your favors.
Yeah, all my favor coupons from all these big wigs at MLB.
Well, it paid off.
Paid off. Got a new fan.
Yep.
got him a new fan out of the deal. Oh man. What else is going on in the world of baseball? For the 2nd month straight, I saw this. We talked about May. They hit the most home runs ever for that month. Well, they did it again in June.
Of course.
And spoiler alert, they're probably going to do it in July too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see this stopping.
It's especially you've got 2 guys, Bellinger and Yelich, with 30 before the All-Star break.
They're on pace to get what, 70, 80?
No, the season's half over, so if they're at 30 now, so half of that or another half, 60, but probably less than that. They're probably going to end up with 50. They'll slow down.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep that pace going for that crazy.
But still, 30 home runs before the break is nuts.
Yeah, that's an entire season's worth of home runs for some people at the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy. But that just leads into the whole trend that there are more home runs everywhere. Eventually, these home run records that have been so revered and everyone's been like, well, it's bullshit that Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame or whatever. All of those records will probably go away eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Because these guys are hitting balls at such a crazy rate. Yeah, and I know we had kind of a discussion about it on Sportszilla recently too, where a bunch of other people were chiming in with their thoughts about what's going on with all of this, and it seems like everybody's kind of latched onto the idea that it's the ball.
Yeah,
The
I would say
ball is
so.
what's definitely different about it all, and we've done the whole comparison on this podcast where we took a ball from the '90s and a ball from this season and looked at them and.
You could tell a huge difference.
Very noticeable difference just to the eye. And that once you apply physics and the science behind what everything would do, it makes perfect sense that the ball is more aerodynamically sound. We don't know about the inside of the ball, how much they've changed that, but God, you got to think that they might have just added a little more cork to that center or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Filling them up with helium.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, right? Because those balls get up and go. Like Chavis hit like a 450-foot home run the other night.
Yeah, people are
nuts.
People are jacking homers. The famous one that went into the ocean that made Mad Bum all pissed off.
Oh, Max Muncy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get it out of the ocean. But like we said, that happens quite often there. It's not that abnormal for a ball to land in the McCovey Cove. It's kind of an endearing part of that ballpark. And I did some more research. I talked about it whenever we were mentioning that I thought that there were 3. There are actually only 2 ballparks now that you can hit a ball to the water.
Mm-hmm.
The other ballpark that has a unique thing is Camden Yards in Baltimore, where you can hit the ball out of the stadium onto Utah Street, which is a street that runs parallel. And if you do that, they put a little copper baseball on the street or on the building across the street or wherever the ball lands. They put a little copper baseball there with your name and the distance of your home run and the date that you hit it and stuff like that. I've known about this for a while that they did that because I know David Ortiz has a couple out there. Jackie Bradley has one out there. A couple other Red Sox players throughout the years have hit them over there, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that goes down to Utah Street or whatever."
That's funny.
It's a pretty cool thing. Like I want to go there just to see that street with all of those, copper baseballs all over the place.
Yeah, that's a cool thing for the city to do. I think that's really neat. Like you said, it's a really unique thing. So I'm glad that they took the uniqueness and capitalized on it.
Sure. I mean, I wish Boston would do that for home runs hit out of the park over the Green Monster. I mean, all that's down there, though, is a parking garage, so it's not really that special, I guess. But shit, Manny has hit one that it got all the way to the Mass Turnpike.
That's insane. Especially like thinking of how big that fucking wall is. Like in any other park, you hit something mid-level on that wall, it's a homer.
Not necessarily. The wall is 37 foot high, but its distance isn't as far as a lot of other parks.
Oh, okay.
So you can hit Fenway doubles, which are like pop flies anywhere else, but it's just a ball that goes up high enough and happens to bounce off the wall on its way down. So it's not caught for an out.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Anywhere else, that would have been a pop fly.
But it's just more shallow.
Right, it's more shallow.
Okay.
Now, if you crush one, then it's gone anywhere. If you hit it over the wall and out of the park, it's gone no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But Yankee fans try to say that it's the same thing as their short porch, but their short porch isn't a 37 fucking foot high wall.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-foot wall that, Mookie Betts can reach over and pick home runs out of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Aaron Judge patrolling that side of the outfield. He can reach to the fucking hot dog vendor in right field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you that wall comes up to his freaking hip.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. and it's only like 305 foot from home plate.
Yeah.
So that's why they get a lot of those cheapy home runs that are just pop flies anywhere else. Fenway gets more doubles for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Cool.
kind of there you go on that one.
I swear, I'm pretty sure baseball's the only, and MLB for that matter, is the only sport where you're playing has an effect on the outcome of the game. You know, like you play NFL football anywhere, a first down is a first down. It's not an out or a home run. In some places, you can get an out, you can get a double, you can get a homer. It's kind of cool,
right? In football, basketball, all that stuff, the stadiums might be a little bit different and unique, but the playing surface is identical.
Mm-hmm.
A basketball court is a basketball court, no matter what stadium it's in. A football field is a football field, no matter what stadium, what state, whatever. A baseball park's dimensions are different across all 30, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It gives a nice uniqueness to each location. Like, oh, we're playing in blah, blah, blah this series. So that means whatever it might mean. I think that's really cool. And it gives a certain personality to each stadium.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
As a fan, you know, we're not pro ball players. We're not ever going to go and grace these fields with our talents. But as a fan, you can appreciate going and seeing the uniqueness of each park. Going and watching a game at Wrigley Field is a million times different than going and watching a field at Tropicana Field.
Right.
You know, like going to Wrigley, that's a historic ballpark, and it's open air, it's old, it's got that feel of an old school baseball park.
Yeah,
Tropicana Field, Tropicana is a dome. It's kind of, it was outdated the day that it opened.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, you know, like it was just never going to be a classic ballpark.
Yep.
I mean, hell, if you hit a ball high enough, you can hit a catwalk and earn yourself a double. It's ridiculous.
Yep. That's funny.
Oh, well. Anything else going on? I know you said All-Star break's coming up. They'll be in Cleveland. You should have been to Cleveland a couple weeks later.
Man, I know.
But
such a shame.
Yeah, dude, I missed out on the All-Star game in San Diego. It was there the year after I got out of the Marine Corps.
That's fucked up.
I was so bummed. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. We do have a little UFC news. Big fight coming on Saturday.
Yeah, the John Jones. Is it
Diego Santos?
Santos, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking RDA for a second. I was like, that's not right. I don't want to say it and be wrong. But then we also got Champ Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holm. So that'll be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens in those fights. I think Jones probably is going to be able to retain easily. Yeah. And then I think Holly Holm's just going to get murked.
I 100% agree that there's a very slight chance that this deviates from that. I guess Holly is capable of anything. She did take out Ronda Rousey when Ronda Rousey was true. But when Holly did it, Ronda Rousey was on top of the world and everyone thought she was untouchable. But since then, she's been tapped out by Miesha Tate. She lost to Cyborg. She hasn't done a whole hell of a lot. This might be her chance, but I mean, I don't see it going that way. And John Jones looks unstoppable. He has tore through the lightweight division by heavyweight. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, it could be exciting. Who knows what happens? That's the cool thing about combat sports is anything can happen any night. I don't think I'll be picking this one up, and I can get into that if you'd like. I hate the new form of pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about it a few times that ESPN Plus that ain't it.
No,
but
in 2019, I already have way too many subscriptions to some shit that I barely use. I am not going to add another one on top of having to pay $60 or whatever it would be for a pay-per-view. Like, you're just not going to get that out of me.
The thing that really bugs me and irks me about it all is that you have to have the subscription in order to even buy the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So you're paying for this even if you're not getting the pay-per-view that time.
Yep.
And I saw that they have these packages where it's like, okay, I can sign up for a year. I can get this pay-per-view and sign up for a year, and it's only $80 or whatever it was. So it's cheaper to do it like that if you're going to commit to it for at least a calendar year. Like, oh yeah, I'll probably buy 3 or 4 pay-per-views this year. I'll go ahead and lock in, you know. But to pay $6-7 a month on the off chance that you might buy a pay-per-view eventually, I don't know.
And the ESPN Plus cards have not been very good. I think the only one that I was interested in was the Ben Askren fight. But again, it wasn't enough to make me get another subscription service. So for me, as a moderate fan, I wouldn't call myself casual. I wouldn't call myself hardcore. What I used to do was buy the pay-per-views that I was looking forward to. And you could do it on Amazon Prime, pay your $60 and it's right there for you. You watch it on your smart TV, you watch it however you want. And I loved it. I didn't buy the pay-per-views I didn't want to watch, and I bought the ones I want to. But now you have to have a fucking subscription service to even buy them, which is insane.
I hate that it's almost made it to where we don't even cover MMA much on the podcast anymore because neither one of us go out of our way to watch it like that.
Yeah, it's all of my stuff is just secondhand. You know, I'll watch highlights or whatever on YouTube, but I never see it live hardly.
I listen to the Locker Room Talk podcast to get spun up on a lot of MMA news because those guys are great and they keep up with the sport, and you know, they're practitioners of jiu-jitsu and they follow it and they watch all the fights and stuff. So I get all of my news and information from them, and I would definitely recommend them to any of our listeners. If you want better MMA coverage, go listen to Locker Room Talk. They will set you straight on that shit.
Yeah, for sure. They know what they're talking about.
You know, they send people our way if they're like, oh yeah, kind of like baseball. They're like, well, listen to these guys. Even though Chris knows a lot about baseball.
Nice.
I was chatting with him about baseball when I was on their show week before last. Yeah, he knows a lot about it. He even plays the show.
Oh, nice. That's a fucking great game.
I've been playing it again recently too.
Yeah, I picked it up a little bit yesterday.
I played the shit out of it yesterday and today. I was like, fuck yeah, this game's awesome.
Yes, it is.
I created a new player. His name is, hold on, it'll come to me. Maxwell S. Hammer. The S stands for silver. So he's Maxwell Silver Hammer. You don't get the reference. You don't get the reference. Nope. He's a first baseman. Maxwell Silverhammer is a Beatles song about a serial killer named Maxwell Silverhammer.
Oh, okay.
That bangs his hammer down on people's heads to make sure that they are dead. My wife suggested that it was loosely written to be about Ted Bundy.
Ah, nice.
So that's my player's name in the video game now is Maxwell Silverhammer.
That's funny.
And the game will actually say Maxwell Hammer, so that's what I went with.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm an idiot. I'm a nerd.
That's what makes life fun, doesn't it?
I just feel like, as you know, a mid-30s person, it's weird to put your name in as an 18-year-old prospect on a video game. So I've always wanted to just like make up silly names. Like I had one guy, he was a shortstop. His name was Juan Duval.
Nice.
So when you say it out loud, when the announcers say it, it's like, now batting Juan Duval.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I switched from, making people that look like me and had my name to funny stuff years ago. I think that comes with age. You stop creating characters that are like you and you live out your fantasy to just having fun with it.
Yeah, it's more enjoyable whenever it's just playing a game to have fun.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to Chris about what he named his. He might name his Chris Suggs, or Chris Sharon is his last name.
Wouldn't that be awkward?
If he does, he does. It is what it is. That's how he wants to play the game, and that's his right to play it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just the 4th of July. We have rights in our country. Damn it.
That we do. We're free people.
In the Declaration of Independence, we said we want the rights to play video games the way we fucking want. If you don't like it, you can cram it up your cram hole, England.
Yep. We don't like your tea.
Get that tea out of here.
Speaking of creating a player on a video game after yourself, have you seen what NBA Live is doing these days?
I haven't played NBA Live since probably 2007 or so.
Well, it's trash, but it still is a game. And their big claim to fame is you can download an app, and I can't remember what they call this whole thing, but it scans your face and imports your face onto your player.
They were doing that for shit with the Kinect for a while on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you could import your face on stuff.
Yeah, and it looks god awful.
Yeah, it looks like a shitty version that you tried to create yourself.
Yeah. But I'm assuming in the years coming, when the technology gets better, you can probably make it look really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm at the point now with just photoshopping and stuff that I can take heads and put them on other people's bodies. So I would imagine that they're pretty close to doing that in video games as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that in seconds. You know, just give me 2 pictures and I can flip their heads around and do all kinds of fun shit. But they're so close to doing that stuff in video games and all that.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll be like, even in first person shooter games and stuff like that, you'll be able to upload your own face for cut screens.
Yeah, for sure. Like the next not the next, but a Call of Duty down the line, instead of playing as such and such person, it'll be you.
Yep. It'll be you out there doing all these crazy things, and then that'll just add to the whole stolen valor shit.
Well, good thing it's a fictional video game.
Yeah, you can't tell people that. They'll be like, no, I did it. I took down the Russians with a sniper rifle.
You see that screen? That's me. That's my face.
That's my face. Fucking A. 1 year anniversary show's coming up.
Yes, it is.
I just put out a photo not long ago on Sportszilla that was kind of a teaser of some of the giveaway items that we're going to have. I included in the picture a Sportszilla t-shirt, Nest Podcast t-shirt, pop sockets, the autographed baseball that was donated by Wolfpack Razzin Breaks, stickers. You're going to hook us up with some decals, right? Some car decals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think white would show up better on most cars than the black does.
We have learned that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool. We've had about 20 people or so sign up for their spots so far. So if you're listening and you haven't signed up for a spot yet, go to Sportszilla on Facebook, sign up for your number, get into the drawing so that you can win some free stuff. If you don't have Sportszilla, go to your Facebook, open up your search thing, type in Sportszilla. It's the little icon that looks like a goat wearing a crown, because that's about all we ever argue about is who is the greatest. At least that's how it started anyway.
Yes, it did.
That's seemed like every day we were arguing who was better, Jordan or LeBron.
Yep.
But those were the good old days of Sportszilla.
Mm-hmm. We've grown since then. Yeah,
now we talk about, like golfers taking a dump and talking about poop. Did you see that one? That one was pretty hilarious.
No, I didn't. That's funny though.
I think Jared posted it. It was God, who was it? It was some golfer, some PGA golfer. He had his green jacket on and everything, but he was sitting on the toilet and he was telling a story about poop. It was hilarious. It was great.
That's the kind of content you can expect.
Yep. And free stuff from us, because that's the real reason that you're going to join Sportzilla in the first place, is so that you can sign up for our giveaway. So awesome. I'm out of shit to talk about, Zach.
I am too.
All right, guys. Tune in next week when we'll be back here. Hopefully on another Friday episode.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.